You walk into the bathroom, you flick on the light, and there on the wall is a spider the size of your thumbnail. Your heart rate spikes before your brain even finishes the sentence. That's a spider. You didn't decide to flinch, your body did it for you. But the real answer is far stranger than simple fear. Your reaction wasn't learned last week. It wasn't taught to you by a scary movie or an older sibling's prank. It's older than language, older than fire, older possibly than the human species itself. Think about that for a second. A creature smaller than your fingertip can override your nervous system in under 200 milliseconds. That's faster than you can consciously recognize a face. Something in you is scanning for spiders before you even know you're looking. So why? Why does something so small hijack something so powerful? Psychologist Susan Mineka spent years trying to answer that exact question. In the 1980s, she ran a now famous series of experiments with rhesus monkeys. Monkeys raised in labs who had never once seen a snake still learned to fear snakes almost instantly after watching another monkey react fearfully to one. But when she showed the same lab raised monkeys a video of another monkey reacting fearfully to a flower, the fear didn't transfer. The monkeys just weren't interested. It was as if their brains came pre wired to accept snake equals danger, but rejected flower equals danger outright. This became known as biological preparedness. Some fears aren't built from scratch. They're preloaded, waiting for a single spark of experience to switch them on. Spiders work the same way. You are, in a sense, born half afraid already. Researcher Vanessa Lobu tested this in human toddlers. She showed children as young as 5 months old images of spiders and snakes mixed in among flowers and frogs. The babies weren't old enough to have been taught what a spider was, let alone that it was dangerous. And yet, their eyes locked onto the spiders faster. Their attention snapped there before it snapped anywhere else on the screen. Now picture a Sydney backyard at dusk. A kid runs past the garden shed, and out of the corner of their eye, they catch the shape of a huntsman spider pressed flat against the timber. They don't stop to think, is that dangerous? Their body has already reacted, skin crawling, feet moving, all before a single conscious thought forms. That reaction had to come from somewhere. Anthropologist Lynn Isbell has a theory that reaches back millions of years, long before humans existed as a species at all. She argues that the ancestors of primates evolved sharp, detailed color vision specifically because it helped them spot venomous snakes hiding in leaf litter. The primates who noticed the danger first survived. The ones who didn't get the chance to pass on their genes. Spiders may have shaped us in a similar way. For millions of years, our ancestors lived in environments where a single venomous bite could mean the difference between raising children and dying young. Not from every spider. Most spiders are harmless. But evolution doesn't deal in nuance, it deals in averages played out across hundreds of thousands of generations. A brain that overreacted to every eight-legged shape in the shadows cost almost nothing. A brain that underreacted to the wrong one could cost everything. So natural selection made a trade, better safe every time. This is why your fear doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like an alarm, because in a very real sense, it is one. Deep inside your brain sits a small almond shaped structure called the amygdala. It's your threat detector, and it works faster than conscious thought. Visual information about a spider like shape can reach the amygdala through a shortcut, bypassing the slower, more careful parts of your brain that would otherwise stop and ask, is this actually dangerous? That shortcut is ancient. It kept your ancestors alive long before anyone understood what venom was or why some bites killed and others didn't. Now, here's where it gets stranger. This response isn't universal in the way you might expect. Culture and environment shape how loudly that ancient alarm rings. In parts of the world where genuinely dangerous spiders are common, like certain regions of Australia, home to the funnel web and the redback, people don't necessarily become more afraid. Many become oddly calm. They learn through repeated exposure and clear information which shapes are worth worrying about and which aren't. The alarm is still there. It's just been recalibrated by experience. Compare that to someone who grows up somewhere spiders are rare. Their brain still carries the same ancient wiring, the same fast pathway to the amygdala, but without real world data to sort harmless from harmful. So the alarm goes off for everything. A daddy long legs gets the same reaction as something that could actually hurt them, which means your fear isn't really about the spider in front of you. It's about millions of years of ancestors who never got the chance to learn the difference, layered underneath whatever your own life has taught you since. There's another piece to this. Spiders don't move like other creatures you're used to. Their legs fold and unfold in a rhythm that doesn't match anything else in your visual experience. No mammal moves that way, no bird moves that way. Your brain has spent your entire life building predictive models of how living things move so it can anticipate what happens next. A spider breaks that model completely. And when your brain can't predict something, it defaults to treating it as a threat until proven otherwise. That unpredictability is part of what makes the reaction so visceral. It's not just the danger, it's the wrongness. The way a spider seems to move like nothing else you know. Think about the last time you saw one drop suddenly from a door frame or scuttle sideways faster than seemed physically reasonable. That sudden shift in speed and direction is exactly the kind of unpredictable movement your ancestors' brains were built to flag immediately, no hesitation required. And yet, despite all of this, most people who flinch at spiders will never be bitten by one in their entire lives. The ancient alarm is still ringing for a threat that statistically barely exists anymore for most of us. Your fear is a message from a world that no longer looks like the one you live in. Which raises an odd question. If the danger is mostly gone, why hasn't the fear faded with it? Because evolution doesn't update on a human timescale. The traits that kept your ancestors alive 10,000 generations ago are still running in the background today, largely unedited because there hasn't been enough evolutionary pressure or time to remove them. You are in a very real sense, walking around with software installed for a world that mostly doesn't exist anymore. And every time you flinch at a shadow on the wall that turns out to be nothing, that's the sound of an old survival system still doing its job, just aimed at a world it no longer needs to defend you from. So the next time you feel that jolt, that instant full body reaction to something the size of a coin, remember what's actually happening. It isn't irrational, it isn't a flaw, it's a message passed down through an unbroken chain of ancestors who survived long enough to have children, each one of them just a little more cautious than the ones who didn't. You walk into the bathroom, you flick on the light, and in that half second before you even register what you're looking at, millions of years of survival are already deciding how you feel.